Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, and with my wife, Nathalie Blackham. Great to have you with us. We're the program that looks at Israel. We look at the news. We look at what's happening behind the news, and we look at a biblical Hebraic perspective. Now, as we've come to you today, we're still in the midst of a ceasefire with Gaza. Not sure what the position is with Iran or Lebanon. There's still skirmishes going on, indeed, even in Gaza, and there's still the situation with Iran and Lebanon and the other countries are not so clear, Nathalie. Now, one of the things we've been talking about, and we talked about on the program last week, was the situation with Judea and Samaria. This is a very important topic because now that Gaza is finished, terrorists are ramping up the attacks in Judea and Samaria, and we talked on the last program about the smuggling of weapons by Iran into Judea and Samaria. Well, on this week's program, we want to talk about the settler violence lie, how a flawed narrative about Jewish settlers, Nathalie, in Judea and Samaria became a global campaign and a weapon used against Israel. For many years now, international media and global organizations have been pushing one narrative about Israel's presence in Judea and Samaria, the settler violence narrative. This specific phrase is repeated so many times that people don't even question what it means. And it's accepted as a fact for the vilification of the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. However, if history has taught us anything, it's that if a lie is repeated enough, it can often come to be accepted as truth. And this is precisely what is happening here in the mainstream media. They're always on about settler violence. So, recent research by the Israeli NGO Regavim, we've met the people from Regavim, very good people, found that the apparent phenomenon of settler violence is in most cases simply false. Well, that's not hard to believe. And in many instances, misleading or exaggerated. The study confirms that while isolated cases of violence by Jewish residents does exist, as in any society, it involves a tiny fraction of the population and is dealt with by the Israeli authorities according to the law. These incidents, by the way, are not widespread as per the mainstream media or large in number, and they do not represent the broader Jewish communities in the region. So where does the inflated numbers come from? Nathalie, where are we getting all these numbers, and where's the mainstream media finding all their information? Well, the United Nations Humanitarian Office says that between 2016 and 2023, they claim that there was 8,332 incidents involving Israeli settlers. That, by the way, the settlers are anybody who lives in Judea and Samaria. So that can be somebody working in a shop or in any trade. A doctor can be classed for the mainstream media as a settler, just because he is in Judea and Samaria. But when Regavim dug deeper, it found that many of these were not violence at all. In fact, many would not be classed as violence in any honest or accurate report. The OCHA list includes, listen to this, traffic accidents, that isn't settler violence, school trips, infrastructure work, archaeological visits, and even hikers just walking in the wrong place was described as settler violence. Worse than this, gross distortion often counts Palestinian Arabs injured or killed whilst attacking Israeli as if they were the victims and not the perpetrators. For example, when Mohammed Karim Marshoud tried to stab Israelis, the United Nations logged his shooting as one incident and his death as another of settler violence, both recorded as that, even though he was the one perpetrating the attack. In other words, even though he is causing the violence, it was settler violence. once the United Nations 8,332 incidents were systematically analysed by Regavim, only 833 real cases remained, less than 10%, over 7.5 years. This figure hardly supports widespread settler violence as we see in the mainstream media.
I know, so you can imagine the work that Regavim is doing behind the scene to be able to find the truth. But many times when the journalists are reporting things, they are going to pick up the numbers that the United Nations are saying. And so this lies is repeated many times. So the work of Regavim is a very important work, and we can see them always trying to report the truth on the land, in Judea and in Samaria, and it's very important.
Now, as I said at the beginning of the program, Judea and Samaria is the next battlefield, and sadly terrorism is still going on. An Israeli man was stabbed to death, was murdered, and 3 others seriously injured in a terror attack at Gush Etzion, which is in Judea. The attack occurred just 1 month after 2,000 unbelievable Palestinian Arabs were released from Israeli custody, including a very dangerous terrorist who was involved with the notorious lynching of 2 IDF reservists. Medics who arrived at the scene in Gush Etzion after the attack were forced to pronounce the fatally wounded victim dead at the scene. He was later identified as Aharon Cohen, 71, a resident of the Jewish community of Kiryat Arba.
Next to Hebron.
Near Hebron. Cohen, a widower, leaves behind 6 children and 7 grandchildren. Terrorism has an effect not only on the person, the victim, but also on the family. Spokesman for the community of Kiryat Arba said he was to be buried that evening. The 3 other victims were transported from the scene to hospitals in Jerusalem, so there was more than 1 victim. In many times in terror attacks, we hear about the person who has been killed, which is right, but many people are also injured in terror attacks, and
one was sedated.
Right, and this included a 30-year-old man and a 15-year-old boy. Sadly, the lady was mistakenly shot by IDF troops in trying to end the terror attack, and she sustained wounds to her lower body, was taken to Sher Sedek Hospital in Jerusalem. The attack was carried out by 2 Arab Muslim terrorists who accelerated their vehicle into people at the junction. One of the things of the living in Israel is if you go to the bus stop, you'll notice that there are concrete bollards placed in front of the bus stop. That's not to sit on.
Or iron ones.
Iron ones. And those are not to sit on. Those are to protect you in case of ramming attacks. Both terrorists were neutralized at the scene, and both of them had in their vehicle several explosive devices, which was discovered afterwards. Palestinian Islamic Jihad took credit for the attack, so it wasn't an accident or somebody speeding up and knocking people down. This was organized, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad was behind it. Now, they also called on Palestinians to escalate their attacks against Israelis. So this is very serious. Bearing in mind there's been 2,000 Palestinian Arabs released from Israeli custody, and this was part of the peace deal. The peace deal isn't just war ending. It was the return of the hostages, if you remember, and it was also the release of Palestinians from Israeli jails. Troops were involved in blocking roads around Arab villages, which is the normal thing afterwards, to find out who was also involved in the terror attack. Now, one of the things that's happening in Jerusalem, and we've been talking about this as well, is construction. Construction everywhere. If you visit Jerusalem, you will inevitably find somewhere being dug up. Now,
cranes
everywhere. Jerusalem business owners demand from the mayor that a pedestrian bridge to save city centre stores. Jerusalem businesses who've survived the COVID nonsense, who survived 2 years of war, are now under attack from large-scale construction. Insists the council, that's the Jerusalem City Council, comes to their rescue. Jerusalemites have become resigned to the capital's status as a citywide construction site. And that's what it's like.
It is.
You know, it's quite funny if you try to travel across Jerusalem or many big cities, many major cities or capitals, you inevitably try to find a shortcut, you know, so that you can avoid the traffic, and you look on your car GPS for the quickest route. Well, you're going to have a problem with that in Jerusalem because everywhere has traffic works. So there are everywhere there is JCB diggers and men digging up the ground for the light railway, and you can't escape it. So the logistics of this are torturing residents, and this is what is being reported by the Israeli news. It's losing its sleepy charm, becoming just another generic metropolis. I think that's true. The good people of King George Street and its surroundings. King George Street has, of course, the King David Hotel on it. Is part of the city centre hub.
It doesn't have the.
Doesn't it have the King David?
No.
It's on King George.
No,
there you are.
Is the one. But he's in the center of Jerusalem,
right?
And many people have to go through that road to cross Jaffa Street.
Okay.
And so it's
yes.
tricky.
As the city centre makes way for expansion of the light railway's blue line. They've got different lines. The light railway is the tram that you'll see also in Jerusalem. It has entirely closed off King George Street to traffic, which doesn't have the King David Hotel on it. Also blocking the entrances to Agrippus and Ben Hillel Street, making pedestrian passage from the Shuk, that's the market, the Jerusalem market, not to be confused with the Arab Shuk in the Old City, which is not the same.
Damascus Gate.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are two different markets. You've got a market in the new city in Jerusalem, and then you've got a market in the old city, and we're talking about the market in the new city. And they've asked that a pedestrian passage from the market to the city centre be made now, because they are saying that potential customers on King George and Ben Yehuda pedestrian mall have been forced to stay away in droves. As goods sit on shelves and cafe seats sit empty, proprietors who've been operating for over 40 years in the area have been trying their best to get the mayor's attention. So, Mr. Mayor of Jerusalem, please pay attention to your storeholders who are not happy. They've been instructed by the municipal hotline, send a letter, which they've done so, with 200 to 300 businesses affected. We very much want to see Jerusalem developed, said one of the shopkeepers passionately. We are law-abiding citizens who are in favour of construction, of development of Jerusalem, but in order to save our businesses, please build a pedestrian bridge from Agrippus to the Ben Hillel streets to cross over King George Street and link Mahan Yehuda to the city centre. Merchants have fallen on hard times for around 6 years at the moment, he explained. It started with...
you can imagine, I don't really want to go to the shuk anymore because of all of that. So you can imagine how many people is just, they are losing a lot of business.
Right. And the other issue, Nathalie, is if you try to go to the market, you have to find a car parking place. And that's a whole nother story of misery, of trying your best to park anywhere and find somewhere which is reasonable in price, and that won't cost you a fortune to park your car. It's just another sign of the times for Jerusalem, the way that it's changing. Now, Nathalie, you have some interesting things to share with us today.
Yes, we were speaking last week about Ezekiel 36. about Judea and Samaria, which is very important. And if you look at maps, you put just Judea and Samaria, and you look on your computer, and you will see it's like in the shape of a man, like a profile of a man with a beard. So it's quite interesting. But I want to just to carry on reading with you. Now, first of all, I might give you some few stories. Also, there is more and more people coming into Judea and Samaria, which is now 506,000 people. Okay, is every year is going up and up. Like I had some numbers, and my numbers have changed again, and so this is wonderful to see that the families who are going over there are usually families who loves to have kids, so it's like multiplying fast, and it's people who love the land. They are cool settlers, but I don't know why they are called like that, because they are like inhabitants of Israel. I know they are speaking politically about all these things, but when you look biblically, the mountain of Israel are very important. Is where there is all important cities from Hebron, Yerushalayim, Bethel, Shiloh, Shrem, which is called now Nablus, but is Shrem or Shechem. And so this is all very important towns that you read in the Bible. And right now, like in Hebron, which is, I heard some interesting stories, is like because of the war, a lot of Arabs are living now, and they are leaving the country. They are not just leaving Hebron, but they are leaving the country. They say, we want to go somewhere else, we want to be at peace. And so now some Jewish people are buying some houses, some properties quite easily compared to before. So this is a big thing, because Hebron is the biggest Muslim city, and Hebron, the Jewish Hebron, is tiny, just around the cave of the patriarchs, which is the place where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their wives are buried. So, and the community, the Jewish community, is very small. There was a good community before 1929, and there was a big riot. A lot of Jewish people were killed. They were also after taken away of Hebron, and the community never really recovered from that. And slowly they are growing. I've been there a few weeks ago, and I could see like more buildings and big buildings, and families are coming in. So we can see that it's growing, but it's like with a lot of perseverance, with a lot of prayers, with a lot of people who say we need to go back. This was a place where King David, was ruling for 7 years before being the king of Jerusalem. 7 years and 6 months exactly. You can read it in your Bible. And so they know that is important. It's a place of Judah. Okay, all the territories, I was saying that last time, all the territories who are south of Jerusalem is Judea, and all the territories who are north of Jerusalem is Samaria. So you have to remember there was two time where the Jewish people were taken away. First of all, it was the kingdom of Israel, which is north of Jerusalem, and then there was a bigger exodus, I would say, and it was like from all around, and Judah from the south of Jerusalem also went all around, dispersed really in all the nations. And now we can see them coming back, and this is a very amazing thing. So let us read, because I think it's so important to read in the Bible, not looking at the thing. We spoke about the political things, but after we need also to speak about the biblical things, okay? So I will pick up from last time, and is in Ezekiel 36, and is verse 22 right now. Therefore, let me take my glasses so I can see better. Therefore said to the house of Israel, so the house of Israel is the one on the north, This is what the sovereign Lord says. It is not for your sake, O house of Israel, that I'm going to do these things, so bringing them back, but for my sake, for the sake of my holy name, which you have profaned among the nations where you have gone. I will show the holiness of my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, the name you have profaned among them. Then the nations will know that I am the Lord, Adonai. Yud-He, Vav-He is his covenant name, okay? And the name also who show mercy. This is what declares the sovereign Lord. When I show myself holy through you before your eyes. So you can carry on reading. It's like so amazing. I mean, all the part. Maybe we carry on. It's 24. For I will take you out of the nations. I will gather you from all the countries and bring you back into your homeland. And I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities and from your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Something happened when the people come back into the land. And I will put my spirit in you and move you to follow my decrees and be careful to keep my mitzvot, my commandments. You will live in the land I gave your forefathers, which is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You will be my people, and I will be your God. I will save you from all your uncleanness. So listen to that. This is something also very practical. I will call for the grain and make it plentiful. I will not bring famine upon you. I will increase the fruit of the trees and the crop of the field, so that you will no longer suffer disgrace among the nations because of famine. So this is very interesting, because we can see when we go from Jerusalem to the north, to Tiberias, you can see a lot of trees, you can see a lot of crops, and the land is rich when there is water. Now, what I wanted to tell you, God is bringing back the people. We see the Ethiopians, we see Jewish people from Europe, from America, from Russia, from Eastern Europe, but we see also some others now who are coming from Ethiopia. They say that they're from the tribe of Dan. And now we see also the Bene Manasseh, and Bene Manasseh is, they are usually located in India, but they know their stories, and they say that they were gone when Assyria pushed them away from the land, and they went around, and now they end up in India. And these people have tradition from the Jewish, their Jewish tradition, and there is a movement really of the Spirit of God who is bringing them back now, saying we want to go back home. And interesting enough, I read an article this week, and they were saying that they want to help them to relocate. So they want to help them, first of all, to come back, because it's a big thing for them to move and to, come by plane and find housing and everything. So they are going to try to locate them more to place them more in the north of the country and in Judea and Samaria, which is so very interesting. And there is room in Judea and Samaria. I think we've told you that many times, and every time when we hear the political things that they are saying, and like it seems like Israel don't have any room, there is lots of room. Judea and Samaria, there is hills who are still bare. Some are already having some communities, but many can really have more people coming. No problem for that. And again, you will have infrastructures who will have to be put in place, but there is place for planting. And I think this is very important, okay? One of the things that we see also since the end of the war, or even like in the process during the war, people were really like taking the time, I think, to say, well, something is really wrong, and turning to God. So you see a lot more of young people but they don't care so much. Like during the festival of Nova, you know, they were there just to have a good time and just music and all of that. But a lot of them now are seeking God. They are praying more. They are going to the synagogue. They are taking the time for Shabbat. And it's like a day where Shabbat is becoming more important. They are putting the candles for the lights. And they are reading the word. So we can see really something happening. So
and it's something that you can do if you're just starting and you want to do, you want to connect with Israel and connect with the Jewish roots. You can you can do Shabbat, and you can do it in your home. And if you live near a Jewish community, you'll have all the things you can, the challah and the candles and everything. You can get those, and they can do. You can do Shabbat, and
yes.
a lot. There is a movement of Christians doing Shabbat. This is a big movement, and even I think Charlie Kirk was talking about that before the assassination, about the importance of Shabbat. Well, it's been great to be with you. Thank you so much.
And sorry, when you say that, it's true. This is good. And when you do that, pray for Judea and Samaria, because God is really doing something in this place.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to visit the website, which is www.israelfirst.org. Thank you so much for those who are supporting us with the program, bringing news and biblical information. You can go to the website, the donate page, to help us. You can also contact us from the email on the website. And if you'd like further information, how you can support the work. And thank you to everybody who is helping us to do the Israel First TV program. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.